Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Real Stories, Real Change. And today we're talking to Jason Kruger. So, welcome, Jason. It's great to have you.
No, thank you for having me.
Thank you. And whereabouts in the world are you, Jason?
I'm based in a village just outside of Bedford.
Okay. Your accent doesn't sound Bedford-like.
No, I'm actually originally from South Africa, and
Okay.
my kind of immediate family, we
Yeah.
moved to the UK in, I think it was August 1998. My dad worked for a multinational, and yeah, we were moved to the
Mm,
UK in 98.
yeah.
And I think there was a view of us maybe moving to the US after 4 or 5 years, but that didn't materialize, and we ended up staying here in the UK. So
Right.
yeah, been here a while now.
Okay. Okay. All right. So let's talk today. Let's tell me about the change. Well, really, what life was like before you decided to make a change.
Yeah, so I was, I could probably say I was severely overweight. Um, and yeah, it was just being that kind of that sluggish feeling. And although I was like eating what I wanted and all that, I've always struggled with my weight,
Mm,
for as long as I can remember.
mm,
And I've tried different things along the line, Weight Watchers, all of those types of things, and that would work for a while. I would lose the weight and all that, but then kind of fall back into the old habits.
mm,
Um, and yeah, I've kind of been on two journeys.
mm.
During 2020 when we were in lockdown, um, I set myself a challenge to lose 50 pounds.
Mm,
And I started kind of think beginning of August,
mm.
and my target was before Christmas. And I actually did achieve that kind of a week before Christmas.
Great. Can
And
I just, before you go, just on that, what was it that prompted you to do it then, having tried other things before?
um, I just think I felt ready at that time.
Mm,
Um, and because, being in lockdown and kind of on and off all the time,
mm,
um, one of the things was it was something to concentrate on
mm,
during that time. And so yeah, I thought at that time, it was something clicked. And part of that was actually my wife started.
mm,
She had started kind of in the July period, and she said she wanted to do it. And as we were kind of preparing meals and things like that, I was like, well, I may as well do it as well. And then yeah, that kind of then it clicked for me then. So we were kind of doing it together. And what I was, well, actually, what she was doing um, at that time is I think we weighed ourselves every Friday, and we were public with it, and we posted um, that kind of weigh in every Friday. So it kind of gave us accountability, um, with friends and family. And yeah, it kind of that's how it kind of started. And I was just doing walking. We were doing just calorie counting at the time. Um, and yeah, changed our food habits and that. I'm not saying that we ate badly. It just
mm,
it did shift, and we were, you
mm.
know, more portion control and all that type of thing. And
Yeah.
that really worked for the two of us. And yeah, like I said, I hit my target. Uh, Basically, it was the week before Christmas. And I think at that point it was like, well, I've hit that goal, and I hadn't set anything else after that. So I hit the goal. And then there was a few other things that happened. We went into kind of the local lockdowns around Christmas. So that was kind of depressing because we were meant to be going to family, and all of a sudden, we had to change our plans and just have Christmas just the four of us. Uh, we were also had a lot of local flooding, um, and so there were a lot of those kind of things that happened. And so I gradually put the weight back on. My wife was a key worker, so the kids went to school, and I kind of at that point I didn't feel right to go and do my 2 hour walks or that I was doing, and I was walking potentially. I think it was almost every day. Um, so I didn't feel comfortable kind of doing that, knowing that other parents were stuck at home with their children and doing all of that, and mine, I was lucky enough to still send them to school. Um, and of course, everything was underwater where I was usually walking. So I think all of those things just it was a kind of a culmination of that, and kind of gradually over the years, slowly put the weight back on. I didn't put it all back on, but it wasn't probably not far off.
Yeah.
Um,
And when you were putting the weight back on, because I've been there and had those
yeah,
experiences myself, you know you're doing it. You know, what is the kind of the mental chatter that goes on that kind of justifies it's okay?
yeah. I think for me is I like I said, I've always struggled with weight, and I think I'm a kind of an emotional eater.
Mm,
Um, and being kind of those kind of stressful situations, or kind of potentially even, I wouldn't say I was depressed, but those kind of
mm,
feelings where you kind of going in and out of lockdown, things have changed, and all of those. I think I probably got to a stage where wasn't probably even thinking about it. It was
mm,
just doing it rather than actually consciously,
yeah.
all the things I'd done before. I kind of, I don't know, I maybe just ignored them. And like I say, and then kind of just gradually, it wasn't like an overnight thing, but it was just like, oh, just a little bit more of this, a little bit more of that. And all of a sudden,
Mm,
it slowly gets out of control again.
yeah. So what happened next?
Um, so last year I was turning 40 in July. But previous to that, unfortunately, my brother-in-law lost his dad in November of 2023. And he was always selfless. He put himself first for everything. And um, unfortunately, he probably didn't look after himself as well, not eating the right things. And yeah, he passed away uh, in November of 2023. So and that time, a month before Christmas, it was hard on my brother-in-law and his family, and we were there, to support him. And it kind of, not, I wouldn't say gradually dawned on me, but it was like, I do need to start making a change. I want to be there to see, my kids grow up and have their families, and that. And as I said, I was turning 40 in in July. So I came up with the idea of, and I called it the Lose 40 by 40 challenge. And as I'd done previously, with my wife posting on our results and that on social media, I did that as well. But I went a step further in that, yes, I was posting that, and I was doing it on Facebook, LinkedIn, posting every Friday the the weight, gain, all the weight loss. Um, but I actually started a YouTube channel for it as well. So I was doing update videos as well, of just putting those kind of updates on the weight loss. I was actually recording video and telling people how that week went and what I was finding hard. And again, that was another way for me to make myself even more accountable. It's like, yeah, I can post it on social media, and that's a strong motivator, because all of a sudden, the world can see what you're doing. Um, but doing the video was just that next, for me, it was that next level.
Mm,
Because like, I've got to record this video, people, and I got great feedback from that. And that was one of those things. And I had a lot of people come up to me, I do the school runs and all that. So I had mums and dads and all that coming up to me, and you know, congratulating me on that week, or that, but then also kind of inspiring them to
mm,
do not something similar, but inspiring them to start making um, that change. So that's how it kind of started, and kind of the reason why I did that.
yeah.
But
And
then,
how's it worked out?
so I started that from memory. I think it was kind of mid January, end of January was when I started the challenge, and I actually hit the target mid May. So
Okay.
I lost the 40 pounds by mid May, and I was just doing the same thing that I did in kind of 2020, where I was just going on longer walks. Now in 2020, because of the lockdowns and all around that, I was walking every day. This time I couldn't go out for 1 2 hours every day to do those walks. I was probably walking 3 times a week,
Mm,
but the weight was still coming off. And actually, I I hate to say this, but I found it easy. I think
mm,
because of that, we had structured the food and all that. We found some really good cookbooks where it actually was telling you what the calories were for each portion. So we were bulk cooking, like slow cooking, and all of that. So we had it everything prepared. So
mm,
that made it a lot easier in that we didn't have to think about it. Once or twice a week we had to kind of top up those reserves, but it was planned, so
yeah.
it made that part of it easier, knowing that I was going to do the walks. And I think for me, because I'm self-employed, I have to be kind of self-disciplined and motivated, because I work from home. I could easily just go sit on the sofa and and do nothing, but I've got people counting on me to get the work done, and I think that helped me with that as well, because and I kind of found throughout the process that I am very much goal oriented,
Mm,
and if I have a plan and I know that I have to do this on certain days, I just, no matter the weather, I'm out there. And again, I did this was all recorded, so you'll see me, some days when it has been raining, I've got my coat on and all of that. So I was very disciplined in just kind of following the process.
mm,
But then when mid May came and I actually hit the target, what I'd learned from previously is that I need to have another goal. It's like
mm,
previously I hit the goal and then didn't have anything afterwards. So then it was like you slowly fall back into the bad habits, because you just haven't got anything else to aim for. And I think what I've also found over the years, speaking to a lot of people along this journey, is the normal diets, and I think from my own personal experience as well, doing all these different types of diets and all that, they're good until you hit your goal, but then
mm,
you don't know what to do afterwards, and then you fall back into those old habits again, and then you slowly put the weight on. It's not necessarily the diet's fault again, but there's so many different fad diets out there, and that. But once you've hit the target, it's like, oh, I've hit the target. I'll just go back to what I was doing before, and then
yeah.
you slowly, and it's just that's why you get that kind of yo-yo effect. So I was very mindful of that this time. So once I hit that target in May, it was like, well, what's my next target? And when I was doing my walks, I was, from when I started to that point, I was getting faster walking. I was walking at a lot faster pace, and I was like, well, I can't physically walk any faster without breaking into a very slow jog.
Mm,
So I then took the decision to do a couch to 5K um, program, which I'd done many years before, and it just didn't stick. I think probably at that time, because I hadn't kind of lost the weight, it just didn't feel right for me. But kind of doing all the walking and all that, I think my body was ready for it. And so I started off, and again, I was like, I don't know if this is going to stick, because I had kind of rugby injuries previously, and I wasn't sure if I was going to get any repercussions, from the joints and all that from doing it. But started it, did 1 2 weeks, and it's like, well, this is starting to feel okay. Didn't and just carried on with that. And though the program that I followed was an 8 week program, which actually, without realizing it, meant that I would actually finish that program on the Thursday before my birthday. So my birthday was on the Sunday, and I finished that Couch to 5K program on the Thursday. And I had planned to do a park run the following Saturday. And one of my neighbors, um, by this time she's moved away. She's in Saudi Arabia, but she'd joined the local kind of running group and all that. And unbeknown to me, she posted my photo and what I was trying to achieve in their kind of WhatsApp group, and turned up to park run, and all of a sudden I get this tap on my shoulder, and it was one of the guys from the running group saying, "Oh, your neighbors put your photo in," and all that. She'd also put the kind of time that I was aiming for, which was kind of sub 30, and was that was an ambitious task for me anyway. Um, and he ended up running with me for my first park run, helping to pace me and push me. And when I say pushed me, I think he literally pushed me around that park run, and managed to do. I think it was like something like 29 minutes
Wow.
20 odd.
Mm.
And I must say, I did feel it for a few days afterwards. Um, so that's then so that's where kind of the running journey kind of began, and it was
Yeah.
okay. I've got to keep giving myself these goals.
Mm.
So yeah, that kind of then I think I probably started to catch the running bug by that point, and um, did a few more runs, and then actually joined the running group. And it's not one, I wouldn't say it's like your traditional running clubs. There's no fees or anything like that. You kind of just turn up on a Sunday, and it's more of like a social running group, which was great. You could just turn up, and then just chat to the other runners. And um, so I started running with them, doing more park runs, and then yeah, did another 5K race I think in September. Did my first 10K race in December last year.
Wow.
Did another one now in February, and I've now been training for my first half marathon, which is actually on this Monday. So yeah,
Wonderful.
it's yeah, it's been a Monday the 5th of May. It's been etched into my mind now for the last few months. Um,
Yes. So the difference this time being that when you got to your goal, you had another goal, and then you've, like you say, you've carried on with running, and that's given you a new emphasis, new direction.
yeah, and it's and I think that's one of the big lessons that I learned, especially from the first time, is like I said, I'm very goal oriented, but I'm also very disciplined. So I've been on different running programs, so training programs for the different races and the things that I've been wanting to achieve. And if it tells me I've got to go run on a Monday, I go and I run on a Monday, and so I run three days a week during the week, and then sometimes on the weekends as well. Um, but because I know I'm training for these different things, it really does help me to just keep focused. And it's like, okay, well, it's telling me I've got to run on this such a date, and this is the type of run that I've got to do, and I just go out and do it. I just follow the program, and just trust in that process.
Mm.
Um, and yeah,
Yeah. So if you sum up the kind of the key strategies or tools you think that have made it successful this time, what would you highlight?
I think there's a few. I think one, you've got to be ready for it.
Mm.
It's no use in saying, "Oh, I have to lose weight," and then you try, you know, again these different diets and all that, and because I think if you don't believe that it's going to work, and you're not in that right mindset when you start, it's not going to be successful. It might be successful for a certain time, but I don't think it's um, a lasting
Mm.
effect. I think you've got to be ready to make that change. And throughout this whole process, when I was losing the weight last year, people saying, "Oh, what diet are you on?" And I'm like, "It's not a diet." I banned that word from my vocabulary, because it wasn't a diet. Because the first thing that comes to mind when you say diet, it's restriction. You can't
Mm.
have this, you can't have that, and then you become more resentful towards what you're doing, because like, well, I want to have that, but my diet plan says I can't have it. And I viewed it as more of a lifestyle
Mm.
change. And I wouldn't say I restricted myself to anything. It was more moderation rather than just binging on something. It was more being more aware. So,
mm,
if you want to have a biscuit, have one. But I was more aware of what that biscuit represented in kind of the calories, because sometimes you're like, oh, I'll just have two or three. You're like, actually, those biscuits are 100 or 150 calories. You have three of them, you're getting close to 500 calories, and you're like, wow, it all of a sudden it made me aware of the different foods. And now I'm not saying I didn't have a biscuit or that, but I was more aware
mm,
of it, which then also meant that if I knew that we were going to go out and we are going to go for a Chinese or something, something like that, in a way I would kind of plan for it. So I'd go for that extra walk, or I'd go for a walk that day, because the way that I was using an app called MyFitnessPal.
mm,
So it was also monitoring my exercise, so that I knew that if I was going to go and go out or whatever, I would go for that walk, and it would offset it, because it would say, okay, you've now earned there's extra calories. Now I'm not saying I would eat up to that extra, but it just gave me that extra cushion, and it allowed
mm,
me to do that. So I was a bit more planning involved, and just being more aware of you know
yeah.
what I was doing really, um,
And
for that.
what impact do you think the support of other people around you had?
I think it was massive, because even when I was doing, when I did it the first time, my wife actually started it, and then I joined her. When I was doing it now the second time, she joined me. Now she wasn't public like I was doing it. She wasn't posting it, but she was still doing it in the background. So we were supporting each other that way. And when it actually came to the running, like I say, I'd kind of joined this local group, um, and I've been part of them, since then, and they've been very supportive. When I'm saying, oh, I'm struggling with this and all that, and they're like, well, just follow the plan, um, giving you different advice from their experience and all that. But I think the biggest one was actually inspiring my kids, because I started the couch to 5K, and I can't remember how far I was into it. I think it must have been, I think it was around June time. So I was near, kind of nearing the end of that. But my daughter got inspired by what I was doing, and she said I wanted to couch to 5K. So on the days that I wasn't doing mine, I was then starting the couch to 5K with her.
Oh.
And then I think my son got FOMO as well, and he said I want to join, but he said that kind of 3 weeks after my daughter, so he couldn't kind of start where she was. So I started another one. So I was running three different um, couch to 5K programs at the same time at that point. Um, because they were interested. And I was like, well, if they interested in that, then I'm gonna I'm gonna help them with that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, kind of the weather at the time got really hot, and with school and all that, we weren't able to kind of continue. But they've still followed my journey now, especially now that I've been training for a half marathon, which to me is, if you told me that I was going to be running a half marathon this time last year, I wouldn't have believed you, because I wasn't even running this time last year.
Wow.
Um, and they've seen it, and now they want to start back up. So much so that my daughter actually wants to run a 5K in September. So it's like, okay, so once I've done this race now on Monday, I'm going to look to, I'm going to be going into another training block myself. But now both of them want to start running again. So yeah, so we'll start
That's
their
fantastic.
training again. And that, I think that's one of my inspirations, is that I think when I first started this, it was for myself,
Mm,
with that kind of forward view of, I want to be healthier when I'm older, you know to see them grow up, you know grandchildren, all that type of thing. But seeing how they are now inspired to kind of take up running as well. And my daughter's the kind of the sportier of the two. My son has got no interest in sport whatsoever, doesn't want to ride a bike, doesn't want to go on a scooter, doesn't, he's got no interest in any of that. But for him to say, actually, I'm interested in running, it's like, actually, this is one that I really want to push, because if he wants to run and he's not interested in any of the other types of sports, then I'm definitely going to
Mm.
foster that and see where it takes him as well. So
Yeah.
I think that's what's pushed me, you know, going forward as
Mm.
well. Um,
And how do you feel about life now, compared to pre 2020 when you were, weren't in
yeah,
the.
I've when I did the challenge, like kind of last year, and when I ended the challenge, I put a photo up of what I looked like, and I think that must have been around the 2020 mark. And then I put a picture of the weight loss and what I looked like after the challenge last year, and I couldn't believe the the change. It was astounding to me, um, and yeah, it's just I think, like, especially now with running, it's definitely helped my mindset,
Mm.
because I work from home. Um, I take the children to school in the mornings, but I don't pick them up anymore because we just live around the corner. They can walk home really safely. They don't have to cross any roads or anything like that. So they walk home. So I've lost
Mm.
another outlet of where I can just go out and speak to people, get the fresh air and things like that. So for me, running has helped me with kind of my mindset, but also just to get me out.
Mm.
And like I say, I still go out even if it's raining or if it's cold. I was running during the winter months, and that was very cold. Um, but yeah, I think it's just giving me that extra, that outlet, and I feel so much better for it. And you know, I'm still not quite there yet, and kind of the weight of that. I lost that weight. I might have put on a little bit now since then, especially with the long distance running. You're
Mm.
just constantly hungry, and it's just, for me, it's kind of trying to adapt and learn. So I'm kind of on another learning journey
Mm.
um, with that. And after I've done this half marathon, kind of next week, it's really kind of sitting down, because I have given myself another training plan, another goal that I want to achieve by July, because it would mark a year since I've done my first park run. So I want to get a sub 25 time. So I've already kind of planned out my kind of the next challenge, but a part of that is looking again at food and readjusting for
Mm.
with the running. So I think it's a continuous kind of learning curve.
Yes.
Um, and yeah, it's just from when I started, it's been massive. Especially, like I said, last year when I lost all the weight, I went through my wardrobe, and I think I probably got rid of at least three-quarters of all clothes. Which, it's all very well saying, yeah, I'm going to lose all this weight, but then when you lose the weight, you actually then realize actually how expensive how expensive it is. It's not just you know eating healthier and things like that, but it's all the clothes that you've got to replace at the end of it. Um,
Yeah.
uh, but it's one of those things that, yeah, it's
A nice benefit.
it,
Nice
it is a
problem
ni-
to have.
it is a nice benefit. And you look in the mirror and all that, and then you think, actually, what a change. Yeah, I think it's been a massive thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
um,
And just on that change, I mean, obviously there's been the physical change. Have you noticed any mindset change in particular?
yeah, I think before, things would get me down more. Um, and because I wasn't active, it just kind of
Mm.
stayed there. And um, yeah, I think especially kind of losing the weight, one, it gives you more of that self confidence.
Mm.
I was doing video before, and I got into video a lot more kind of during the
Mm.
pandemic and things like that, because it was a way to reach other people. But then when you start looking yourself in the mirror and you're thinking, oh yeah, I need to do. I need to make that change. And I think giving you that confidence now of actually, you know, taking photos like family photos and doing those kind of selfies for social media, for business, or just for family. it it's actually, yeah, before I was like you're trying to hide in the
Mm.
background type thing, whereas now um I don't mind the photos. um
Yeah,
like I said, yeah, I still got a little bit more weight to lose, but compared to where I was, it's I feel a different person, to be
yeah,
honest.
yeah. That's
Um,
great. And do you have any sort of final, advice or a quote that's inspired you, or something that you'd like to leave with anybody else who might be listening to this and feeling in a similar situation to where you were a few years ago?
I think when you know it's time to do it, embrace it. Like I said, I've tried different things over the years, and at some points I don't think I felt ready. Um, and for many people it happens at different times. But I think when you know that you're ready, you've got to embrace it. Um and 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 take it not as it's a diet, or it's going to be a restriction. Just take it as a lifestyle change, a lifestyle choice. Because as soon as you start thinking of diets and all that, you get all those bad connotations of restrictions and things like that. It's a lifestyle choice. And it's that kind of change. I think just embrace it, and don't see it as a restriction, but just as a new way of life, that will benefit you, you know, down the line, as much as it will do in kind of in the coming weeks and months. Um, and yeah, it's just one of those. I think it's the biggest thing is just being in the right mindset
Mm,
for it,
mm,
and then just embrace it and and,
mm.
and and go for it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing so openly about the journey you've had. I'm sure it's something that a lot of people can identify with. And it has. I've watched some of your videos. It has been an inspiration, but continue with the running. We look forward to hearing the results of Monday as well.
Yes, no, no, thank you. No, I will. One thing I've kind of regret doing is I was kind of documenting the weight loss, but with the running, I haven't been as
Mm,
um, uh, productive, shall we say, on
mm.
creating that video content. I think it was just when you're walking and all that, it's easier to talk to camera. When you're running, it's a bit more difficult. Uh, but that is definitely going to change, and I will be documenting more now going forward. I think I've figured out more of how I want to do it. So yeah, there will definitely be a lot more kind of content around that, and hopefully it inspires people
Thank
to
you.
make a change as well.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we'll post below this video as well the any links that you want to put as well. So if anyone wants to follow more of your journey and your videos, that would be great. Okay, thank you
Excellent.
so much.
Oh, no, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.